sitting at our usual hangout, Manifest Comics Mayone, deciding to give you a quick comic book review of what we picked up this week, or have been reading the past few weeks. So I'm going to start with some of my pulls. Well, this week most of my DC stuff came in. Notably, the ones I like the most so far are Batman Rebirth, issue 19. It's continuing the I Am Bane storyline. So far, this entire series has been one solid storyline. As you know, sometimes comic books jump from story to story. As soon as an arc ends, a new story begins. This has been one continuous arc since the get-go, and it's been amazing. I cannot recommend this enough. Especially starting with I Am Suicide, it's been golden, like straight through. Continuing with Batman, because so far I've found that DC is not as great in any other storyline besides Batman or anyone involved with Batman.
That hurts my heart.
Like Aquaman, solid. Superman, like Rebirth has fixed a lot of the DC storylines, but Batman has always been consistent no matter what you do.
Okay, I'll give you that much.
Yeah, like hey, what's the same thing to read? Batman, just because it's easy. All-Star Batman, it's amazing. It's up to issue 8. This time he's tackling the Mad Hatter, and there are some crazy lines. The writing is solid. The dialogue. There's one line in particular in the story that's just hilarious. Like I had to stop and just stare at what he just said for a bit. Continuing on, DC Trek, Super Sons. So if you haven't been reading this is issue 2. We have both Damian and Jonathan, basically ransacking Lex Tower. As you know, Lex Luthor now is a Superman of some sort, and they're trying to do their own investigation. So far, the chemistry, I'm still figuring out if I like it or not. But there's some hilarity ensues when you have these two boys running around. So what's not DC? Issue 2 of Curse Words came out a while ago. So if you don't know, it's from Image Comics. It's about a wizard who's traveled to this particular dimension in hopes of destroying it, only to stay in New York for a couple of months while he prepared. Turns out, staying a few months in New York is one of the best things he's ever done. So he's like, "Fuck this! I'm gonna live here now and make sure no one fucks this place up." So issue 2 starts with him trying to fix a few problems that he might have caused when a wizard came and attacked him in this world.
Essentially, the repercussions of the first issue,
like
dealing with the repercussions.
Pretty much, he had a lot of witnesses, and he decided to Ziploc bag everyone who saw the incident. That includes people who've seen it on television. So he literally pulls out the Ziploc bag full of miniaturized people, and he's like, "How do I fix this?" And his solution's pretty hilarious. So while I do have a bunch of testosterone-filled comics, it's time to change it up with Reborn. So it's another Image comic. So they're up to issue 4. Our main character, Bonnie. So recap. Apparently, once you die, you don't end up in heaven or hell per se. You end up in a weird fantasy sci-fi world in the middle of a war. And our main character, Bonnie, is the savior of that entire story. So before she does it, she wants to find her husband, and she got into a little bit of trouble. What is good about issue 4 is she's starting to get into her powers. So she's getting a lot more badass really quickly.
Yeah, because I remember issue 1, she's kind of just coming to grips, and then people view her as this sort of, living saint, essentially.
Yeah.
And she's starting to slowly get into it. Even some of her enemies are like, she doesn't realize her full potential yet. Let's try to nab her before.
And one of the best things is, like, every issue you find out, like, this is all the people in her lives are, like, major characters. So her father is one of her guardians. He's now a huge Viking guy who can 1v1 a small dragon with an axe. In issue 3 or 4, you'll find that her cat that she used to have has been hunting her down to get revenge. Why? Because she neutered him 9 months in. That's exactly why she wants him dead. What I like about the series is every issue you learn something more about this world, and at the end of every issue there's like a what the fuck moment. And issue 4 doesn't disappoint. By the end of this comic, I was like, All right, when's issue 5 coming?
There's always a surprise, and there's always something really cool.
Like,
that's
issue,
what I
like-
found also.
Yeah, like issue 2 or 3, they introduced like Lord Frost, who turns out to be the cat. It was like, yeah, why do you want to kill? What did she do to you? Well, 9 months in, she chopped off my testicles. So
And
revenge.
the look on his face when he
Yeah.
says it, he just stares off into the distance, and everyone's like, "Okay, that happened."
Yeah, it's like, well, you were a cat, but no, you're a person here now. So that's revenge worthy. I'd be pissed off too if someone did that 9 months in.
I would, definitely would. All right, and as far as what I have so far on the pool, for let's see, DC, we have Aquaman and Red Hood and the Outlaws. Now, Red Hood and the Outlaws follows Red Hood as Jason Todd, which is essentially reincarnated Jason Todd, because Jason Todd was one of the first few Robins who got killed and brought back by Lazarus Pits, I believe. Red Hood kind of poses as a sort of bad guy, but he's trying to infiltrate criminal syndicates. First couple of issues, he goes against the Black Mask. He tries to figure out what he's doing, and he tries to destroy the organizations from within, while appearing to be a bad guy.
As I understood it, like when Rebirth, like in the original 52, it was him, Arsenal, and Starfire. But I think in Rebirth they went a different direction.
Yeah,
I think
so-
it's like I kind of summarize it as like the pseudo trinity, because you have Artemis, who's like Wonder Woman.
Artemis is kind of like an Amazonian,
like a heart, like darker
not princess,
version.
but she's like a
Amazon
darker,
warrior.
Amazon warrior.
And then like for some reason they had Bizarro on,
which
the
is
team.
great because he's
Like-
both like the powerhouse of the team and an innocent child
So you
at
have
the
like
same time.
so you have like the trinity, like Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. But here's the anti version,
Yeah.
like not the full evil, but just the shadier one.
Yeah,
The
way
bootleg
shadier.
shadier one that kind of got messed up along the way.
Yeah, it's been a pretty interesting read so far. I'm really happy with it. For a second I saw it, I was like, oh, this is really cool. Some people remember the Red Hood being originally one of like Joker's personas,
Yeah.
depending on his storyline. So it's really cool that he picked up that sort of mantle, being as he was killed by Joker. I don't know how much that harkens back, but coming back into comics, I found that really interesting that he would go that route.
I did like what they did with the story, with the character. Like he's now somewhat redeemed in Batman's eyes, like to where like he can wear that Batman insignia with like somewhat pride. And Batman's like, dude, stop gripping my style. Like that, you're not. This is trademark.
Yeah, because Batman, he gives a lot of flashbacks of when he worked with Batman. About like, Batman would chastise him, like, "Oh, you're near to killing this guy. You're near," and Red Hood sees that as we really can't solve crime unless we really like
Take that.
take
that
that
one
break
extra-
past that level that Batman's willing to go, essentially.
And I think like people in like, well, I know Artemis has always been. It's Artemis, right?
Yeah, it's Artemis.
Yeah, she's always been that way towards like she's been like no mercy type
Yeah.
setting. And then you have Bizarro, who's just like, sure.
Yeah, Bizarro doesn't really see, like, he starts, there's a passage, I forget if it's in this issue or the issue before, where he knocks off a character's head. I'm not going to say who it is. He knocks off a character's head, and they're like, Bizarro, did you know it was not that a real person? Doesn't answer.
He's just like, yes.
Yes, he's like, he totally
Sure.
knew.
He's like reviewing his rules. Yes. Alright.
So it's
How's
coming up.
Aquaman? Like,
Aquaman, really enjoying it. I never thought I would enjoy Aquaman. Everybody thinks he just talks to fish. Even pokes fun that that's the public image of him. So he is not actively part of JLA right now. He's just like doing his own thing. He's trying to repair relations. It's almost like a little bit political in a sense. He's trying to repair relations between the Atlanteans, or the inhabitants of Atlantis, and the surface world, because he loves both worlds, but he wants to make them like cooperate together towards a greater goal of peace.
I've read the new 52 version, and like, yeah, the writers have done a great job like making this guy a more badass character. And like, I think the first 52 arc was just him trying to his conflicting interest between being a surface dweller or an Atlantean. So I think Rebirth is continuing that plot of how do I balance being king and
trying to not seem weak to my people and leading them towards peace. And there's a lot of instances where a lot of his political advisors are like, at any time we could just go to the surface world and just destroy everything. Why do you even want to seem weak to them? And he's kind of like, oh, because he has obviously fond memories of where he grew up and being accepted and protecting these people. Obviously he's tied to JLA, helping these people out. Kind of that made him soft, but at least it gave him a greater appreciation for mankind.
And like we saw how that went before. Like in 52, they did the Throne for Atlantis, where his half brother tried to do the exact same thing, only just kind of failed right there.
So that's really cool. Like I said, I've never been an Aquaman fan, so I picked it up when I saw Dan Abnett was writing it, and I've been enjoying it so far. As far as Marvel, which I don't get into that territory often, but The other day, I saw Bullseye #1 on the shelf, and I picked it up because I was like, why not? I love reading about villains and anti-villains or anti-heroes and stuff like that, redemption stories. As in, I read Thunderbolts. So I saw Bullseye, and I read it, and it's great because it's just a mercenary just messing things up left and right. Like he gets bored, he just wants to kill people. Even he has an agent. As he's waiting in his agent's office, hearing all the job offers.
Wait, stop that. Wait. There's a villain agency now?
Well, I mean, he's got to get a job somehow. All mercenary. He's a mercenary.
Oh, he's a mercenary. Okay, so he's a mercenary.
So he's got to get contracted work, and he's like,
there's a third party
even
member.
His agent believes that it's like you seem like you're on a suicide mission. You always take like the hardest, most difficult jobs, and he gets contracted to do some stuff. But while he's waiting, he's playing around with paper clips, causing mayhem. Like he kills a guy, causes a car accident. As soon as people start getting into the crowd, he causes more accidents, more deaths, and by the time his agent finishes pitching the last job to him, which he accepts, the agent looks outside and it's nothing but pure chaos, mayhem on the street, people dying.
Was he in an office, or was he just like?
He was like in a high-rise office.
Oh, he was just throwing out his window.
Yeah, he was just shooting
Oh my
these
God.
paper clips out, just maiming people and whatnot. So I thought it was pretty funny. It's very parental advisory is definitely on the cover, and it is not for kids. It's really bloody, really grim, really exciting stuff. I'm really enjoying it. I can't wait to read issue #2. Let's see what else we have here. This is 2 Image comics. Yeah, well, this is Image. This is the Few. Picked it up. I actually picked it up a while ago, but I want to be starting issue 1 last week. And the story starts off. It's kind of like a Mad Max post-apocalyptic world, although there's snow. Maybe they're in like a winter or mid sort of setting, and they come across this girl clutching a baby, and she's running away from this group of people, and you're not too sure why she's doing that in the beginning. They don't really base.
Well, it's a classic storyline.
Yeah, it's always
like,
classic.
there's something important about this baby, and someone's running with it. You know it's gonna be important.
Yeah, it's like you
So
don't know
saves.
why they're after her, but these 2 random guys kind of save her. They're like, "Oh, we'll take you in. We'll take you back to our base." Only like later in the comic you find out like essentially her true purpose and how it kind of flashes back to some of the stuff she went through earlier. I don't want to spoil too much of it just yet, but I kind of like the style. It's very grim, very.
What is unique about it? Like you've kind of seen this apocalyptic type stories before with some random guy just finding a couple that needs help or something like that.
Yeah, it's
What drew you to it?
towards well, first of all, I'm a really big cover horror fan.
Okay.
So when I saw the cover of the first one, I kind of was just like, this looks interesting. I'm just gonna pick it up. I tend to do that a lot. I blind buy so many things, and I give it like an issue or 2 to sell me. And if it doesn't really sell me, then I'll, won't pick up the following issue. But if it does, I'll just keep going with it.
Okay.
So pretty interesting stuff. I don't want to give away too much of the end reveal of what's happening, but seems pretty promising. So I can't wait to read issue 2 and see how it actually pans out.
So like the 2 people that saved this person, like are they unique in any way, or just like
they're part of like a agency or resistance.
okay?
And let's just say the girl who got rescued is exactly where she wants to be,
Okay.
without giving away too much. And then the last comic I had for this week's School was The Forever War by Titan Comics. This is issue #2, and this is actually a really cool thing. Again, titles and or covers kind of like sell me on things.
Yeah.
Picked this up on a whim by looking through a huge comic catalog, and it is essentially the first issue goes over the training of these super intelligent, kind of really fit people going into space, and they're brought onto this planet where it's all it is testing. And at first,
Sounds like Ender's Game.
yeah, almost like that, except like
Sounds like
more adult. Themed.
Okay, so instead of like taking children's, like, hey,
Yeah, they take like
you're
top
ready for war.
lines,
Okay.
and they kind of train them for war. And the guy's like, oh, if you make a mistake up here, I'm not going to chastise you. The planet will do it for you. And they think like at first like, oh, it's just the guy's just trying to be tough on us. But then they realize, I think of the initial class of 50 or 80 people, 14 to 20 people start dying off.
like what the
Like actual, like through the accidents or not being safe with their gear or not like getting
Okay.
ready in time, stuff like that. Like, for example, there is a sort of like a scenario where these 2 rockets are going towards a facility and they've only got like a 50% chance of hitting one of them, and they think like, oh, so far all the simulations they've never gotten to the base and we'll be fine. And then they destroy one rocket, the other rocket hits the other side of the base, ends up killing like 14 people because one guy couldn't get his suit on quick enough, the other person happened to be in the blast and stuff like that. So it is kind of like they're training to
it's
fight an
almost like real life will just kill you. Like
yeah.
now here's not the real enemy, but here's a real life simulation, and if you die, well, there's no take backs.
Yeah, there's no take back. So then they starts getting grim. Like some people were dying because they didn't pressurized their suits correctly, or they went to sleep, they didn't put like the right sort of vitamins in their blood, and it was culling all of the weak people, and now finally they're like, oh, we're gonna land to this portal and kind of go and assault the enemy, which they still have no idea who it is, but that's how the first issue kind of ends.
It's kind of weird. It's like, you know, you can just send them anyway as fodder and see like what sticks.
Well, I mean, I think they're supposed to be elite, but like you said, it's like if I don't kill, like I'm not gonna even bother reprimanding you if you do things wrong. The world will teach you right away how you did wrong because you just end up dead.
Yeah, as the real world would if you fuck up something.
Yeah, if you mess up it, you will definitely pay for your mistake in blood.
It just feels sort of like, yeah, we can't send all of you to the actual war, so we're gonna have to cull you.
Yeah, it was really interesting because I didn't expect that. Like I said, I just picked it on the cover, and the cover kind of sold me onto it. So I was like, okay, I have zero expectations going in. And when I went in, I was like, this is pretty cool.
All right, I think these are some decent pulls. If you guys are interested in any more type of comics that you might suggest for us to read and review, feel free to drop us a line. Till then, this is Wong and Panda. Signing off.
Take it easy, guys.